You know, sometimes I sit here, and I still can't quite believe my life is real. I mean, can you imagine waking up one day, thinking you're just a regular guy, and then boom, your entire world gets flipped upside down because of a secret you were never supposed to find? My wife, Sarah, she packed up our kids, our beautiful twin daughters, Lily and Daisy, and she took them to France. She just left. No warning, no real discussion, just a note saying she needed space, needed to think, and that she'd be back when I figured things out. She claimed I was obsessed, that I was letting a ghost haunt our lives. But what was I supposed to do when that ghost turned out to be my dead father, a man I thought I knew, who was secretly worth a staggering $240 million? Seriously, tell me, was I wrong for digging, for wanting answers, for pursuing the truth even if it meant risking everything? Would you have just let it go? It all started, as most things do, with a seemingly insignificant detail. My father, Richard, passed away almost 5 years ago now. He was a good man, a hard-working accountant, or so I always believed. He wasn't flashy, never drove expensive cars, and our family home, while comfortable, was certainly not a mansion. He always taught me the value of a dollar, the importance of saving and living within your means. My mother, bless her heart, was much the same, frugal, practical, a truly salt of the earth woman. When Dad died, it was sudden, a heart attack, and devastating for all of us. My mother, my sister Emily, and I were left to sort through his affairs. There wasn't much, really. A modest life insurance policy, his pension, the house, all pretty standard. We sold the house, my mom downsized to a smaller place, and Emily and I each received a small inheritance, enough to help with a down payment on a car or some home improvements. But nothing life-changing. We grieved, we moved on, and life continued its predictable path. I married Sarah, we had our girls, and I built a career as a marketing manager, always remembering my dad's lessons about hard work. Then came the box. About 6 months ago, my mom was cleaning out the attic, preparing for a garage sale, and she stumbled upon a dusty old wooden chest tucked away in a forgotten corner. It was locked, and she didn't have a key. She called me, laughing, saying it was probably just old photo albums or Dad's collection of ancient tax documents. I went over, and we tried to pry it open, but it was sturdy. Eventually, I took it home, thinking I'd pick the lock or find a locksmith. It sat in my garage for a couple of weeks, gathering more dust, until one rainy Saturday when I had nothing else to do. I found a sturdy screwdriver and, with a bit of effort, managed to pop the latch. Inside, it wasn't old photos. It was different. There were stacks of legal documents, neatly bound, old share certificates, property deeds, and a heavy, leather-bound journal. My heart started to beat a little faster. This wasn't like Dad. He was meticulous, yes, but this felt clandestine. I started sifting through the papers. Most of them were unfamiliar, referring to companies I'd never heard of, investment portfolios that were incredibly complex. But one name kept reappearing, Stratagem Holdings LC. I did a quick search online and found it was a legitimate, albeit obscure, investment firm. The journal, however, was the real treasure. It was Dad's handwriting, neat and precise, detailing investments, market analysis, and strategies. But what truly stopped me cold was a casual entry on a random page, dated about 10 years ago, closed deal on the St. Regis development, net profit $18, 5M, reinvested 60% into global equities, other 40% into the Panama account, good quarter. My breath hitched. Panama account, $18, 5 million. This wasn't the Dad I knew. This wasn't the modest accountant who drove a sensible sedan. I spent the next few weeks consumed. Every spare moment, every evening after the kids were in bed, I was poring over those documents. Sarah noticed, of course. She'd come into my office, find me hunched over the desk, surrounded by papers, looking like a conspiracy theorist. "Honey, what are you doing? You're going to burn yourself out," she'd say, her voice laced with concern. I tried to explain, tried to tell her about the box, the journal, the strange investments. She listened, but I could tell she thought I was grasping at straws, maybe even romanticizing my father's life. "He was just a smart accountant, honey. Maybe he had some side investments. It doesn't mean he was a secret billionaire. But the numbers weren't adding up to some side investments." The scale of the transactions in that journal was astronomical. One evening, after much prodding from Sarah, I reluctantly put the papers away for a family dinner. We were at our favorite Italian restaurant, and the conversation turned to my mom. "She's doing well, isn't she?" Sarah asked. "Yeah, she is," I replied. "She seems much happier in her smaller place, less upkeep." And then a thought struck me. My mom had always struggled financially after Dad died, even with the pension and life insurance. She'd sold off some of her small jewelry collection just to cover unexpected expenses. If Dad had been sitting on millions, why hadn't she benefited? Why were she and I, and Emily, left with relatively little? The pieces of the puzzle started to swirl in my head, creating a whirlwind of confusion and anger. I redoubled my efforts. I spent money, a lot of money, hiring a forensic accountant, a private investigator. Sarah was furious. How she earned everything on her own, an obsession. "You're spending our savings on a pipe dream, Mark. You're neglecting the girls, you're not present." The arguments grew more frequent, more intense. I tried to make her understand, tried to share the thrill of the chase, the gnawing need to know. But she just saw a man losing himself in a fantasy. She saw the strain on our family, the distance growing between us. I couldn't blame her entirely. From her perspective, I was chasing a ghost, turning our lives upside down for something that might not even be real. But I knew it was real. I could feel it in my bones. The forensic accountant, a sharp woman named Elinor, confirmed my suspicions. My father had indeed been operating an extremely sophisticated, highly profitable private investment network under the radar. He'd used shell corporations, offshore accounts, and complex trusts. He was a financial wizard, a ghost in the machine, moving colossal sums of money with surgical precision. The private investigator, a gruff but effective man named Frank, started tracing the beneficiaries of these trusts. It was a slow, arduous process. We uncovered properties in exotic locations, shares in burgeoning tech companies, and multiple bank accounts in countries known for financial discretion. Each new discovery was like a jolt of electricity, both exhilarating and terrifying. Sarah's patience wore thin. Our home became a battleground of whispers and accusations. She felt abandoned, like I'd chosen this pursuit over her and our daughters. I understood her pain, but I couldn't stop. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about understanding my father, understanding my own history. Who was this man, really, and why had he kept it all a secret? Why did he live a modest life while accumulating such vast wealth? The answers seemed to be hiding just beyond my reach, tantalizingly close. The tension at home became unbearable. The girls started to pick up on it, their bright smiles fading, replaced by worried glances. I'd try to act normal, to play with them, but my mind was always elsewhere, chasing the next lead, analyzing the next document. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Here I was, A man caught between the ghost of a father I thought I knew and the very real possibility of losing the family I cherished. Sarah was threatening to leave, taking the girls with her. My life was falling apart, all because I couldn't stop digging. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have stopped, put the documents away, and tried to salvage your marriage, even if it meant living with the unanswered questions? Or would you have pushed forward, knowing that some truths, once glimpsed, can never be unseen? Tell me, what would you have done? I couldn't stop. The truth was too close, the stakes too high. Sarah eventually made good on her threat. One morning, I woke up to an empty house. Her side of the bed was cold, the girls' room silent. There was a note on the kitchen counter, brief and to the point. "I've taken Lily and Daisy to my sisters in France. I can't do this anymore, Mark. I love you, but you've lost yourself. Come find us when you're ready to come back to reality." My heart shattered into a million pieces. The house felt hollow, echoing with the silence of their absence. Despair threatened to swallow me whole, but deep down, a stubborn fire still burned. I had to see this through. For them, for my father, for myself. Eleanor and Frank finally delivered the bombshell. After months of painstaking work, they had pieced together the full picture. My father, Richard, was indeed worth a staggering $240 million. The money was held in a complex web of offshore trusts, numbered accounts, and a series of shell corporations, all meticulously structured to avoid detection. The main beneficiary of these trusts was not my mother, not Emily, and not me. It was a woman named Eleanor Vance and her 2 children, a boy and a girl, whose ages perfectly aligned with being 10 years older than me. My father had a secret family, a whole other life. The revelation hit me like a physical blow. My father, the paragon of virtue, the man who preached honesty and integrity, had lived a double life. He hadn't just been financially shrewd, he had been a master of deception. The anger was raw, visceral. Not just for myself, but for my mother, who had lived a life of relative modesty, believing she had shared everything with her husband. Frank, with his quiet efficiency, tracked down Eleanor Vance. She lived in a sprawling estate in the Hamptons, a lifestyle that screamed old money. When I finally confronted her, it was surreal. She was elegant, poised, and utterly unapologetic. She confirmed everything. My father had been her partner, her lover, the father of her children, for over 40 years. They had built this empire together, in secret. She claimed he loved both families in his own way, but that he had chosen to build a life of financial security with her and their children, while maintaining his traditional family with my mother as a facade. She even had photos, smiling candidly with my father, a younger, happier, freer version of him than I had ever known. A man living a completely different life. The confrontation was brutal. I laid out all the evidence, the documents, the journal. Eleanor Vance just looked at me with a sad, almost pitying expression. "Richard was a complicated man, Mark," she said, her voice smooth and even. "He made his choices, and now you have yours to make." She was challenging me, daring me to expose the truth, to shatter the delicate peace she and her children had built, along with the legacy my father had secretly provided for them. I left her mansion that day feeling hollowed out, empty, yet somehow also incredibly clear-headed. I knew what I had to do. I went straight to my mother. It was the hardest conversation of my life. Sitting her down, showing her the evidence, seeing the light drain from her eyes as the truth sank in. The initial shock gave way to a quiet, profound sadness, then a fierce, righteous anger. He lied to me, she whispered, her voice barely audible. All those years, all those struggles, he had all that, and he let us live like that. Emily, my sister, reacted with a similar blend of disbelief and fury. We were a united front, broken but determined. We decided together that my father's secret family deserved no more protection than our own. This wasn't about bitterness, it was about justice. My father had abandoned his responsibilities to us, in all but the most superficial sense, to build a life of immense wealth for another. We would not stand idly by. The legal battle was messy, drawn out, and public. Once we initiated proceedings, the media caught wind of the story, the secret billionaire accountant, and his two families. It was a sensation. Eleanor Vance fought back, hard, but the evidence was overwhelming. The trusts, the accounts, the meticulous records my father had kept in his journal, they all pointed to him being the source of the wealth. In the end, the court ruled in our favor. My mother, Emily, and I were rightfully declared beneficiaries to a significant portion of my father's estate. It wasn't about the money, not entirely. It was about validation, about reclaiming a truth that had been stolen from us. Eleanor Vance and her children still retained a substantial portion, enough to maintain their opulent lifestyle, but the scale had been rebalanced. Justice, or something close to it, had been served. With the legal battle behind me and the dust beginning to settle, I finally understood the full cost of my obsession. I had found the truth, yes, but at what price? I had to face the real challenge, winning back my wife and children. I flew to France, not with a triumphant announcement of my financial vindication, but with a humble apology. I told Sarah everything, the full, raw, painful truth about my father, about the secret family, about the millions. I admitted my mistakes, my single-mindedness, my neglect. I told her I understood why she left, and that I would fight every single day to earn her trust back. I presented her with a small, unassuming wooden box, not the one from the attic, but a new one I'd made, empty, a symbol of a fresh start, a promise that there would be no more secrets between us. I told her that the money, the inheritance, meant nothing without her and the girls, that the real treasure was them. It wasn't easy. It took months of honest conversations, of therapy, of rebuilding trust piece by painstaking piece. But Sarah, in her incredible strength and love, saw the man beneath the obsession. She saw my remorse, my determination. She saw that I had faced a profound betrayal and come out on the other side, albeit scarred. Slowly, tentatively, she and the girls came home. Our lives are different now. We live in a new house, a fresh start, no ghosts lingering in the attic. The inheritance has given us financial security, yes, but it's not the focus. My focus is on my family, on being present, on being the husband and father I should have been all along. The shadow of my father's secret will always be there, a part of our history, but it no longer defines us. We're building our own legacy, one built on honesty, openness, and unwavering love. Looking back, it was a hell of a journey, a real firestorm that almost consumed everything. But I found the truth, and in doing so, I found a deeper understanding of myself and what truly matters. Life is fragile, and secrets can be destructive. Cherish the people around you, because they are the real wealth. If you were on my side, if you think I did what I had to do, then please, like this video. Subscribe for more stories like this, because believe me, I've got a few more wild ones up my sleeve. And seriously, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. What would you have done? Was it worth it? I'll see you all in the next story.